Well, first I'd like to welcome everybody to this candidates forum. I'm Beth Mitchell. I'm the president of the Sebastian River Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here representing the board of directors of the chamber. And we would like to welcome all of our participants, and particularly thank the Fellsmere City Council for giving us the opportunity to hold this forum here in this auditorium. I almost feel like I should break out in song or something. This place is just so gorgeous. We are pleased to hold this again. I think it's the first one here in the auditorium since the renovation. And I hope that there will be plenty more activities here soon.
It's restoration.
Restoration, thank you. The event is also being co-sponsored by the property owners of Northwest Indian River County. We had a couple of get-togethers and decided that this would be a good thing for the city since we haven't had an election in over 3 years. We also want to thank the candidates, not only for participating in this forum, but for making a commitment to the community and deciding to run for city council. Before our moderator begins, who we all know, I'd like to introduce each one of the candidates. So in alphabetical order, we have 3 candidates who are seeking one of 2 positions on City Council for 2 years. And as voters, you will be selecting 2 of these candidates. The first is Susan Adams, our current mayor. She's running for her 3rd term. Johnny Luke, a lifelong resident of Fellsmere, is running for his 1st term. And Sarah Savage, current city council member, and has served the city of Fellsmere for 4 terms, and she's seeking her 5th term. Okay, this is how the forum will be presented. The candidates have chosen cards, and we've established a sequence for them. Susan is 1st, Sarah is 2nd, Johnny is 3rd. There'll be 3 stages in this forum. First, the candidates will have 2 minutes for opening statements, and then each of the candidates will receive 5 questions from the moderator. Each candidate will have their own set of questions. They will have 2 minutes to answer each one of them, and the order will be the same. After the questions part, each candidate will have another 2 minutes for closing statements. Our timekeeper for the evening is Miss Maggie Salmons. Maggie, you have to come up front here. If you don't want to be on stage, you have to at least sit up front. Maggie is owner of Custom Air Systems, and she's a long-time Chamber Board member. And Maggie has 2 paddles. One that shows you have 30 seconds left in your time, and the red one means stop. The candidates, do you have any questions about how we're going to move forward here? No? He's ready to have the gist of it? Okay. Then I will introduce our moderator for the evening, Indian River County Commissioner Wesley Davis. Commissioner Davis is a lifelong Indian River County resident and a 4th-generation citrus grower. He resides in Vero Beach with his wife Tanya, son Wesley, and daughter Taylor, although I think Wesley's off to college, is that correct? Yes, yeah. Commissioner Davis attended the University of Florida, where he was a student senator and a member of the Alpha Gamma Rho fraternity, but we won't hold that against him. No. It's not what the script says. His community involvement includes being county commissioner since November 2005, and as chair of the Board of County Commissioners 2008-2009. He also served 6 years as a school board member, and 3 of those years he was chair. He has served on many boards and councils and committees, and has always been very involved in this district, which includes the wonderful city of Fellsmere. So please help me welcome Wesley Davis.
It's always a pleasure to come home. So, and of course, being on this side is so much easier than it is being on that side. So God bless all of y'all for doing this. And so what I'm going to do is you make it pretty simple. So you're sitting in the order in which you're to give your opening announcements. You have 2 minutes, and I'm not the bad guy on that, Maggie. Could be, but not really. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and start off with the opening announcements, and we'll start with the Mayor, Ms. Susan Adams.
Thank you. My name is Susan Adams, and I'm running again for my third term on council. In the past several years, council has been working very well together. We've been able to reinforce the feeling that Fellsmere is the best little city in this area, and I think we've set the standard from which other cities, along with staff, other cities abide by. Every day people come into Marsh Landing and they haven't been to Fellsmere in several years, and they just rave about how beautiful the city is, how much more friendly and welcoming the city is, and I think that is because of the overall work that the City Council has done together. We've created a business-friendly environment when others haven't. That is evident in the over 100 new business tax receipts the city has handed out in the past several years. Many of these are home-based businesses, and I think that's a great sign of the economy. We have completed numerous paving and drainage projects in Paul Carter James, as well as the South Willow drainage and sidewalk improvement projects. And we're also undertaking the Myrtle Street improvements and paving in that area. And all of these we've been able to do with grant monies. We've invested in infrastructure through the water plant expansion, the sewer expansion, and the future stormwater park. And we've been able to do this because council has been active in their support of grant projects that enable us to take the burden off the taxpayer. We're a young city. Our average age is 27, and I think that is evident as we walk around and see all the pedestrians and the families working together and playing in our parks. I would like to thank you all for coming out this evening and participating in this event, and if it's your desire, I would love to continue to serve the city of Fellsmere. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next, we have Ms. Sarah Savage.
Thanks, Leslie. As Leslie said, I'm Sarah Savage, and I've been on council. I didn't realize it had been so long. This is a labor of love and frustration at times. The biggest problem I have is government sometimes doesn't move as fast as I wish it could or would. And we've taken a lot of that, as Susan said. Pretty much everything Susan has said, I've been there and been a part of it. And one of our most important things I feel we have as the current council is our cohesiveness. Though we do have different views sometimes on things, we always work out a compromise that's in the best interest of our residents and for businesses especially. We've been very business friendly, as Susan said. One of our big aims that I see, and I've kind of pushed for through the last several years, is our working on the rails to trails. We have the 86 acres we acquired through the Florida Communities Trust and the LAC Fund, and we partnered with FIT for an obstacle course out there. And we're also right now on phase 1 improvement with $200,000 match, grant and a match, I'm sorry about that, for playgrounds, restrooms, and our management plan. Our overall vision in that section is basically you'll be able to come all the way from the river all the way out to basically Stick Marsh. Most of you know where that is. So with that said, Mackie's not letting me say much more. I'd like to thank y'all and thank everyone for their support in the past, and thank you very much.
Candidate number 3 is Mr. John Luke.
I'm John Luke. I'm born here in Fellsmere. I'm probably about 4 or 5 generations in this area. And the reason I'm running for council is a lot of people come to me, different nationalities, they're upset with what's going on with the city. They said they could spend more money on the drainage in the city. And if you'd have been out here the last rainstorm, they've had roads that were paved and they were flooded all the way to the end, all the way to 5 foot on the south end. And it seems like, you know, we've got a big drainage problem ourselves there. We bought 42 acres down there at the end of Elm Street, and during that last rain, everything was flooding out of that 42 acres, which was supposed to be storm water and drainage. And it seemed like all the water draining off there was draining back into Fellsmere. And you know, who's going to keep up the maintenance on that property? There's a bunch of woods. And I know the city has took people's property for no maintenance on their lots and foreclosed on their property and took it away from them because they wouldn't mow the yards. And if you go right around the city of Fellsmere and look at all the alleyways, the city don't mow them. Now and then they mow them, but all the alleyways are all grown up behind people's houses. That causes stuff to come in like rats, gives them a place to hide. Different varmints, and that's another reason that people aren't satisfied with what's going on with this council. And so they come to me and ask me if I'd run for it. And that's the reason I'm running for city council. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Luke. We apologize about that.
God, timer. You gotta do it
Sorry,
now.
timer? Oh, okay. All right. I thought it was something I said.
That's the ghost of the old building.
Okay. All right. So you've heard the opening statements from the three candidates, and so now what we'll do is we'll start with the questions. We have 5 questions, but in a little different change of things. We're going to ask 5 questions of candidate number 1, then 5 questions of candidate number 2, and then 5 questions of candidate number 3. So candidate number 1, Ms. Adams, I'm going to start with you. What do you think, and by the way, you have 2 minutes to answer these. You don't have to take the full 2 minutes, but I just want to let you know you are limited to Maggie Salmon's time clock. What do you think is the role of a city council member?
I believe the role of a city council member is to represent the residents of the city. I believe that the role is to set policy and see that that policy is followed through, to listen to the residents and provide a forum for them to air their grievances and their problems, and to work to clear up those problems, and also to provide a good quality of living for the community, and to basically do all the work, and so the citizens and the residents can just enjoy their life and enjoy the city.
What do you have any ideas on how to increase revenue for the city without increasing taxes?
I think one of the best things we've done to increase some revenues is to actively pursue grant opportunities. By pursuing grants and bringing that grant funding in, that's money off the taxpayers' backs that we can use to provide infrastructure and other projects. I also believe some of the franchise agreements we've been actively going after and renewing, like with waste management and some of our other franchisees, is a great way to increase revenue and not have to increase taxes.
Question number 3. What are the 3 most important traits or talents that you feel are necessary for a city manager to be effective in implementing council policies?
I believe the most important thing is that the city manager is able to listen. Listen to the issues that council has, listen to the people, and truly listen to what is being said and not just assume that they understand the issue. The second most important thing is to be able to delegate and follow through on what they've learned at the policies that council has set. Without that follow through and that delegation of duties, nothing will get accomplished. And I think the third most important thing is to understand the residents and the citizens of the city in which the city manager is working. If they don't understand what is important to the citizens and what is important to the people, they're not going to be very effective.
Okay. And then 4th question, to create a balanced budget for the city, what services would you reduce or taxes would you increase?
I think we have been very lucky in the city of Fellsmere that we haven't had to reduce too many services. We've been able to pursue some public-private partnerships with the Boys and Girls Club, for instance, taking over some of the recreational needs of the city, as well as the Little League Baseball program and the football program. By pursuing more of these opportunities, we would not need to cut services or raise taxes, and I think that's going to be the key in the future as we come out of this economic slump.
And your final question is, what do you think is the most significant challenge to businesses, to the business community of Fellsmere, and how can the city help?
I think the largest challenge to the businesses of the city are the fees and the permitting process that is not controlled by the city. There's many state, county, and national permits and fees that a business has to abide by in order to open their doors. The city has been very active and working with businesses and working with these outside agencies to help reduce that process and reduce those fees. Right now we're working with the county to try to do some traffic mitigation to help with traffic impact fees for some of our businesses, because that is a big obstacle for them to overcome that we have no control over. So by working with the county and working with the businesses, it's a good way to help alleviate these roadblocks. We've also been able to establish CRA grants for infrastructure, as well as for facade improvements that helps the businesses hook up to water and sewer and takes that burden off of their back. So by reinvesting in the city through infrastructure, working with outside agencies, I think we are doing a great job at helping take down these roadblocks for business.
Everybody over here okay? Yep. Isn't it amazing? You can tell when a building was designed before microphones. You can certainly tell. Well, that was our current mayor, Susan Adams, with her final question. I guess at this point you get to sit back and relax. So. Until the end, there you go. Next we have candidate number 2. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know how this forum is working, I had questions in front of me, and they were pre-written questions that I was going to ask a candidate 1, 2, or 3. And they had the opportunity to draw from 3 envelopes, and so no one knew which questions were which. I don't know which candidate drew first, but anyhow, it was a random choice about which questions, so they're not going to be the same questions, so that way there'll be a little bit of excitement, and you're not hearing the same thing from the same person that says me too, twice. So, all right, here, and next is Sarah Savage, candidate number 2. And her first question is, please provide a list of priority issues that you feel the city should focus on.
Well, I think we're actually doing most of that. As Susan stated, which is a problem with her and I, we've worked together for so long doing these with our businesses, things we've done. I really, as I said before, I like the rails and trails and Fellsmere Preserve. I think the tourism industry is something we really need to focus on. And don't tell anybody, but what I say is come spend your money and leave, you know? To where we have a great city for that. You know, we have a lot of wildlife, you know, all around us. We're pretty much by state lands all around us. And I think that's a great thing we're working on. And we've improved a lot of our infrastructure, as Susan has said before. And we've done a lot of our zoning, and the Elephant Center will be a great thing also, I think. So I think we just have a lot of things that we are currently working on, and that I think we're doing already.
Question number 2, in your role as a city council member, what do you think your biggest contributions will be to this community?
I think my biggest contribution is I listen to the people, and I try to find a way to work with them. The one thing I've learned about being a council member is you have to educate the people. First, I had to get an education on how council works, and I think one of the things I've really been proud of is some of our partnerships. We have a partnership with the farm workers with the community garden, which is talked about all over the state and out of state in other states. The way we've done that is with this partnership, we basically turned it over to them. We let them use city assets, and they've taken it from there to where the city is not having to put more into it. We don't have any personnel or anything like that. The other thing I think is just bringing us up to date. One of the things that when I was first on council was our city manager with Joel and Johnny and John Little and Corky and all them. They turned us to a city manager type government, and that's really worked for us. So I think that's one of the things I am proud of, that I was in with that.
Question number 3. Please explain how you would effectively control employee benefit costs such as pension, deferred compensation, and health care.
Oh, that's a hard one. That's a little bit out of my purview, to be honest with you. I honestly can't tell you. I think it's something we're going to have to really look at, because that is for all cities, states, you know, even the federal government. That's a big issue, and it's something we're going to have to figure out. And to be honest with you, it's, like I said, out of my knowledge. To be honest, I don't know what else to tell you.
That's fine. Can you explain the difference between a strong mayor form of government and a city manager form of government, and which works best and why?
Strong mayor form of government is the mayor makes the decisions with council's approval, but they do the day-to-day decisions. They supervise staff with the city government, the city manager, I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. But the city manager, he also does the same thing. The only thing is he is more directed by council than the mayor is, the way I've seen it work in the past. To me, it works a lot better than the city manager. He is accountable to the city council, who is accountable to the people, and if not, we can basically fire him. With the strong mayor form of government, you either have to wait for an election or something even worse. And we've tried that in the past, and I really feel the city manager form of government has worked for us.
Okay. Thank you. And your last question. Are you satisfied with the redevelopment efforts of the city's community the CRA district, and what further improvements would you like to see the city accomplish?
I'm very proud of what we've done with the numerous commercial, and we did a few residential facade grants in certain areas, and that really brought it up a lot, and it helped in the residential areas especially, it helped the other people around them take a little better care of their property. And the commercial facade grants we did will really have made a big improvement. One thing I want us to work on, and this is pretty much all of council, we're working more on our downtown area, the old town, and we main thing is putting some lighting. All this is going to be money, of course, but I think if we fix up the downtown a little more, make it a little more walkable, so some of the sidewalks and things that we're still working on, and as those monies come in, we'll make those improvements also.
Thank you, Councilmember Savage. Mr. Luke, and number 3, what do you feel is the biggest weakness in the current city council that you hope to change by being elected?
The biggest weakness is, I think, is that, when I've gone to some council meetings and there's never a nay, it's always a yes. They kind of work with the city manager, whatever he wants to get. And I can't see that. There's a lot of money that's been spent in the city of Fellsmere. There's money that's been wasted in the city of Fellsmere, where it could have been used on our drainage problem, could have put towards our streets and everything, and that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Question number 2. In businesses, a financial statement includes revenue and expense information. Can you list the different sources of revenue that the city receives?
Different sources of revenue?
Yes.
Okay, in the businesses or with the city water, or?
Just read the question again. It says, in businesses, a financial statement includes revenue and expense information. Can you list the different sources of revenue that the city receives?
Different sources of revenue. Not really. I don't know of any except for our tax rate is higher than other cities. Our water bills have went up higher than in 4 cities. And that revenue comes in. And not really, because there's a lot of businesses, I've talked to some owners there, in order to get a permit, it's ridiculous. Permits like construction is higher than Fellsmere, than it is Sebastian and Grove. And it's unreal,
Your third question, Mr. Luke. What issues motivated you to run for this office, and what would you plan to accomplish during your term?
Well, the voters for me running, people in Fellsmere are dissatisfied with the people that's running. And like the Mexican people, they're dissatisfied. And the situation is, we got to change our way to get them involved. I've been to council meetings, you might see 3 people at the council meeting. You know, I mean, 4 people at the most. And the people used to show up to the council meetings when we had a straight mayor run the town. We didn't have no city manager, which, you know, the city manager, he takes away $121,000 a year from Fellsmere. And Fellsmere's population has reduced in the past 4 to 5 years. People have moved out and foreclosures here because of the high tax rate we got here. And the water bills, people's homes are being foreclosed on for water bills because they don't have the money to buy groceries, to pay their bills, and barely keep their head above water. And that's what I'd like to see some change.
How would you define going green, and how should Fellsmere address this issue?
Going green. Well, green means a greener environment for the city of Fellsmere. We need to plant more trees, like Main Street. I can remember when I was coming up, there's all those trees. Now, if one goes dead, they carve it up or they pull it out and nothing's replaced. And the people need to plant more gardens. It's just, that's the only thing I can say on going green.
Okay, and your final question. Why are you the right person to address the difficult economic challenges that face the city?
Why I'm the right person with challenges? Well, you look at it this way. These cities, counties, reducing wages on people, big layoffs, and cutting salaries. Just like the lady I was reading in the paper there, her election, she cut her salary. She's cut her benefits. And I don't see, with no more of what we coming in, except for taxes and water and businesses, that, you know, these high salaries, they don't need to be there. Because in fact, when we had a mayor, our salaries, his salary was $500 a month. And he run everything when it was a town. You figure $500 a month, that's $6,000 a year. Instead of $121,000 a year. And you take and go to, and they don't even live in this town. They should, if you work with the city of Fellsmere, you should have to live in the city of Fellsmere instead of in 2 other counties.
Okay. Mr. John Luke. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can tell, these were pre-prepared questions, but clearly I don't think there was a softball in any of them for any of the candidates, of course, not knowing the order in which they want to answer these. So that does conclude the 5 questions that have been asked, and what we'll do now is we'll have the 2-minute closing, and we'll go in the same order, candidate 1, 2, and 3 for the 2-minute closing. And so we'll start off with Mayor Susan Adams.
Thank you. In closing, I would like to say that there are some things that the other candidates have said that I agree with. I agree that we need more participation at City Council, and I would love to look out and see a room full of people there giving their input on the daily decisions that are made. Council does a lot of work before issues come before council with staff individually behind the scenes, and I think this helps us get to a point where we have plans that are ready to be implemented. In the future, we're going to need to start implementing the Basin Management Action Plan that's being mandated by DEP. This is going to require us to start thinking about stormwater and stormwater treatment, and now is the time to start getting on board with that before it costs us a lot of money. We've done that through the 41-acre parcel we purchased, and we're moving forward on other plans of that nature. Right now, the city of Fellsmere is enjoying a historically low tax rate. We have one of the lowest tax rates we've had since 1975, and I think that that is a credit to the council having staff hold the line on increasing services and pay. Staff has not received an increase in 4 years in pay. And the last thing I'd like to say is Fellsmere is a growing city. We're growing size-wise, we're growing population-wise. We had 3,000 people in 2000, and in our current census, we have 5,197 people. I think that's a great increase. I think we need to bring more jobs and business to town so the new people have something to do and they don't have to leave to go to work. With that being said, I would enjoy the opportunity to continue working on these projects and moving Fellsmere forward and take our crown at the top of the list of cities in the treasure coast as being the best city around.
Second for their 2-minute closing, Councilman Savage.
I would like to also iterate about our, some comments made. The city manager we have has gained us a lot of respect. He's well worth his salary. He's brought in probably 20 times his salary in grants and different avenues that we've done. So we have a lot of respect now for Fellsmere. I know growing up here as a kid, you know, Fellsmere had a bad reputation, a bad name, going to school or wherever you went. We have a good reputation now. We have a lot of respect in this community and others. And I would like us to continue, keep going forward as we have. As Susan went into a little more detail, we are moving forward. We are doing a lot of things. And I think a lot of reason we don't have participation at our meetings is because people are not that dissatisfied. There have been times when people are dissatisfied with something we do, they show up. They let us know. When we're not doing something right, they let us know. And as Susan said, we do a lot of work ahead of time. We have a packet sometimes like this we have to go through in a week. Then we have to go do our homework. It takes a lot to do this job. If you do it and do it right. It does take dedication and it takes a love of Fellsmere. So with that said, I'd just like to continue doing what we're doing and keep moving forward. Thank you.
Mr. Blue.
Well, one reason that I'm running for council is, like I said, people come to talk to me, those Hispanic, a lot of the old American people that have been here for years, and they're dissatisfied with spending what's going on, wasted money, like on the stormwater project down there. Where are they going to put the water? There's no place to put it. Well, they tell me it won't go in Fellsmere drain. You couldn't even, the water was coming out of the 42 acres and flooding Fellsmere. There's 3 lakes there. Somebody gets in there, drown, we're responsible. And an 8-year-old kid can't read a flood no flood lesson sign. So he goes there and gets around it. Who's getting the food? And also, the situation they said it was planned for a home project, building so many homes there. Well, when the bank foreclosed on it, all that was closed out. But we were receiving taxes from the banks on that piece of property, which in order for them to take and come back and make it a housing block, had to be passed through the board for permits. And just like my dad was a bank foreman for Carson Flat for years. 86 acres out there, which was a total of 140. Reason Carson Flat sold all that land was it was swamp land. Wasn't no good with cattle. And if y'all noticed, right after this last rain, if you had a jet ski, you could go all over that place on them trails. That was wasting money. The swamp. The others who had it, they tried to sell it for years because they couldn't build it, construct on it. And you know, it's just things going on and people are just dissatisfied. They just took that money, spent it on the streets of Fellsmere, spent it on the beautification of Fellsmere, which I can remember when I was coming up, this is a beautiful little town. And just like the man up there did all the work on the hotel.
Thank you, candidates. This concludes the candidate forum, and I can't tell you how humbled I am to be here just moderating it, but more importantly, to be here in such a fabulous facility that is, and somebody corrected, I forget who it was earlier, said this facility wasn't renovated, it was restored. And how appropriate is that to know that, you know, going back to my grandfather's time living here in Fellsmere in the late 20s through the 30s, and having that generation live through the land boom and then the Great Depression. And here we are today living through a land boom and the Great Recession, 2 generations later. And to be a part of it, to be a part of the civil process of a candidate forum, to be a part of coming back to the grandeur, to the history of the city of Fellsmere right here, to a place where you don't need, because of the acoustics, you do not need, I can hear myself bounce off the wall, much less every paper that turns, right here in the auditorium. And because of that, I'm truly humbled to be here. I want to thank each and every one of the candidates' families. I know that every one of you that's speaking here tonight, it's a whole lot more difficult on your families than it ever was on you tonight. You know, it's easy for you, but thank you very much for your commitment to public service. Thank you for your commitment to the campaign, and thank you more importantly to the commitment of making Fellsmere a better place. That concludes it tonight.